Hello everyone, this is Mohammed from Python Ninja YouTube channel, and today we will learn together nested loop in Python. Nested loop is a loop that is found within a code of another loop. There are two consecutive loops that are formed to execute one task. We will see now how can we formulate the nested loops. In terms of the structure of the nested loop, there is one outer loop and one inner loop. Okay, so this is the syntax can be used to have nested loop. Here we have outer loop, and we will save indent or space, and we will start the inner loop. There could be another inner loop. Okay, just we will save also indent, and we will have another inner loop like this one. And this the number of the loops that are listed is situational, meaning that it depends on the application itself, and we can find like different forms of loop that can be nested. For example, we can find for loop within while loop, or vice versa. We can find while loop within while loop, or for loop within for loop. In the next tutorials, I will cover this situation when having while loop inside while loop and for loop inside while loop, since I plan to give around 8 to 9 exercises to review what we learned so far, including for loop also. Now, suppose I want to iterate. Remember to review the previous tutorials to be in the line with nested loops. The past or the previous tutorial covered for loop. Okay. Now, suppose we want to iterate over a range of numbers from 1 to 16 to print 15 number like this. For I, as we said, you can here use any variable you want. But for this case, since we want to print integer, we have to use something representative. For I in range, okay, as we learned in the previous tutorials, I want to iterate from 1 to 16 to print 15 numbers, and I want to consider step 1. This is like optional. We can use and it depends if you want to use it, or you want to use, for example, step f2 or 3. Let us to print before, and we can see that we printed these numbers vertically. As what we learned in the second tutorial, we can manipulate the visualization, and instead of vertically, we can use it horizontally when we use this keyword argument, or this keyword in a print statement. For example, if I use this open string, we can print them all together, since the default end the default argument that is used is /n, and /n meaning that it print the first I, which is 1, then go to new line. For that we see them vertically printed, but now when I remove the default value by using this brackets, we are able to print them horizontally. If I want to use some also, if I want to use spaces between numbers, or I just can add a space, and we can see that this for loop works as expected. It print 15 numbers. Now, suppose that I want to repeat the print of these numbers, for example, that are printed here. I want to repeat them 3 times. What I have to do, I want to go to in the top of this for loop, and I want to say for example, I in range, okay, in range 3. Either to use range 3, okay, meaning that we will iterate 3 times, or we can say like starting, for example, from 0 to 3, then we can print them three times. Okay, we use also the indent. The meaning of indent is this: you can just press tab from the keyboard, you will see the indent. Usually, print should be also inside the for loop. And let us print I. Look at this. I used I here and I used I in the inner loop. Okay, so we noticed that we printed I, okay, and I goes directly to the inner one. I print from 1 to 16, 1, 2, 3, 4 till 15, sorry, three times. This is the first one, this is the second one, this is the third one, okay? I am allowed to use like I here and I here, but the operations that will be executed, okay, the first operation will, for example, here, the first operation we have is to print I, but which I, we go one step on the top, we will find this with this I, not I inside the outer loop, okay? It is useful and it's like good practice or useful practice to use both different like indices or different variable here just to know what you will print, because if I want to print I in the outer loop, you will see something different than here, okay? For example, if I want to execute this, it will be repeated the values from 0 to 2, okay, 16 times. Why? Because we go for this one and the value of I is 0, then the value of I is fixed here 0, and it will be iterated 16 times, meaning that I can print anything, I can do anything based on the in this iteration. For example, I want to print letter A, okay? I can print letter A. However, letter A or this string is not included even in any of these four loops, the outer or the inner loops. So, but here the print itself, it will be executed 16 times, okay, based on this iterator, and every time the index of j will change, here the print statement will be changed. So be careful about what I am describing now, because was as what I said, we want to use the inner and the outer loop with different variables, and the execution of any code here, it will not depend on the index itself, but we can do anything. For example, I can define two variables a and b, and I can sum them 15 times, okay, or 16 times based on this operation. Now let's back to print j. I want to print j, but as you can see here, as you can see here, we printed all of them, but it seems that it's not good visualization because all were printed together in the same line. But if I want to say, for example, just a print, an empty print, okay, let us to see what this print will do. It will print them vertically, all of them, because when we print the first j, which is 1, then the next line in the execution is a print, and the print contains the default argument is /n, with /n mean go to the next line. So what we will do to print the 16 numbers in the same line, then the other 16 numbers in the second line, is to move this indent from here, and we print from 1 to 16. We secure that and this line. Then how the code will be executed. Then if the code go down, we will find a print here, but this print is not in the same line of this for loop. It will be executed because we will iterate 16 times for j. Then when finishing 16 times, this index will be changed, but before the changing this index, a print statement will be executed, because this print statement is in the indent space of the outer loop. So what the thing that lies in the indent space, which is here, what inside this will be updated or executed based on the outer loop, and what exit inside this indent will be executed based on the update of the inner loop. Okay, so we have here a print statement, and this print statement will be updated here. So before I go to 2, this print statement will be executed, and we can see that I printed it from 1 to 15. Then a print statement is executed. It's empty, but it does like moving the cursor to the next line. So because the in default end equal here slash n, which is go to new line. Okay, this is equal if I remove or keep it. Remember that it's not mandatory to iterate over like range of number to use from 1 to 3. For example, I can use in range 3, for example. Range 3 meaning that we will have 1, 0, 1, 2. Okay, we will have 0, 1, 2, and these are indices. It's not value. So 0 means the first time, 1 means the second time, 3 means the third time. Okay, and the indexing again, and in Python it starts from 0. Okay, so far we covered this for loop inside for loop, which like mostly used, and it's not you will not like notice a lot of while loop inside while loop, because it's situational. Again, it depends on the code or demo you prepare, but we will see this in next tutorials. Now let us take a small example. Okay, if I want to do like this, print, okay, a rectangle, okay, rectangle shape, okay. How can we print rectangle shape based, for example, on user input? Okay, so I want to design a user input that will assist me to identify the number of rows and the number of columns. Remember, when I say for example, for I in range 5, like this, okay, and when I go to the inner loop for j m range, okay, 10, okay, when I do pass, nothing will be executed. Okay, best. So when you design your code, sometimes you think that at this stage, or in this case, I need for loop, but I do not need to execute this now. I use like pass, okay, and we can print this. So it will go to iteration, but it will does nothing. Okay, this will take a little of computational resource that you will have, but if you design like the general body or the structure of your code, and you say, oh, I need here function, I need for loops here, then you can do this until updating what will be inserted under the for loop. Now we can use also, instead of pass, okay, what is called ellipses, 3 dots. Okay, it will work the same. Okay, for 3 ellipses or 3 dots, it's called ellipses. Okay, and we will not be able to execute anything. This is like empty for loop, and that is valid also when I have only one. So when I have only one and I press 3 dots, which is in the ellipses, we can like have a dummy for loop without anything. Or the same, also remember that you can pass, and pass mean nothing, doesn't do, just go to the iteration and without execution. Let's back again. Now remember, for our question that we need to define a rectangle. The rectangle should be like this, okay? So for example, if I will insert star, it will be like this, okay? This, for example, I need a rectangle with the 3 rows, and I do not need to take it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Suppose we have a rectangle with 3 rows and 9 columns. Okay, so what I will do, I will do for loop that will print to me this line. Okay, will take the index of this line, then another for loop that will move through each column. So I want two for loops here. The first one that will iterate down to the rows. Okay, so we will have it as a function of rows. For example, this will be, if I will have 3 rows, this will be in range 3. Okay. Sorry, let us just Control V, and here we Control C, we Control V. Here we have I, because we have here 3 rows, then the first one will iterate over rows. Okay, then so here's the row number 1. What we will do inside, we will print 8 or 10 stars. So I will move through the column by 9 indices. Again, so we have a rectangle. We have two indices of this rectangle. We have index in the row and another index in the column. So we will move like down, and we will move to that. To move to down, we move 1, 2, 3. We need an I loop that we will be able to iterate through these lines. Okay, and we need another for loop that will iterate in this case in this horizontal line. So we iterate vertically and horizontally. Okay, but the thing like this, I want to identify rows. So I want to consider an input to make you able to enter, okay, the numbers, okay, the number of rows, for example, just to make some adaptability. And I will have also for the column. And I have a big issue here. Just note what is the problem. If I want to identify a number here, enter the number of column. Test yourself. Where is the problem of this? Okay, you will review something we learned together, and I think third or the second, not the third or fourth tutorial about the typecasting, because I need numbers, so I cannot use this. This is the default string. Okay, and now we need to cast this input into an integer. This is the issue that I will have. The code will not be executed, and I need another integer. Okay, it's okay now. I also want to add another thing that will also make you able to change even this star. So here, because the star will be a string, I will not cast it as a figure. Enter shape, enter shape. Okay, and here are the shape. We have the star, or we have this this backslash, this sorry, this is slash, or we have this one, and we will have also at sign. Okay, okay, I will have these characters. Okay, that will identify all these symbols. So how can I make this or implement this using instead loop? I will say for I, okay, for I in range what? In range what? I will take I from range row. Okay, it depends on the number of rows. Okay, then the same thing for J in range what? It will be in range column. That's what I described. We need to iterate over the number of rows and over the number of columns. Okay, till now everything good. I will just want to print the symbol, and we'll take the end to equal this to print the same line. And I when it's mandatory to go and make back indent and the print. Without this, all will be printed horizontally like this. Let us execute this code. Enter number of rows I want to 3. Enter number of columns I want to 9. All of this, and here's the shape. For example, I want to take this slash, and it will all will be printed in the same horizontal line. Okay, so what we can do, let us to see. I want to, oh sorry, I want to remove this indent and the print, and I will re-execute again. Numbers of rows 3, number of columns I have 9 columns, and I want to identify the shape. Okay, and when I press enter, I will see that, oh, I have a rectangle that is executed based on the parameters I inserted, number of rows, number of columns, and yeah. Let us change this to, for example, start for 10, and I want to have here 20, and I want to have the star. Yeah, we have now this rectangle because we have 10 rows and we have 20 columns of this stars. Yeah, that's for nested loop. And next tutorials we will give exercises related to for loop.